The dumbest decisions of my life have always started with the phrase, "Why not?" And now, standing at the entrance of the Crimson Moon Bar in my so-called Witcher costume, red-black t-shirt, Etsy medallion, and way too much confidence, I realized I had just crossed an invisible line of common sense. She was 15 minutes late. In that time, I'd finished half a beer and reread our chat 3 times, searching for clues that Lila wouldn't turn out to be yet another disappointment in human form. Her profile had promised intrigue, red hair, a smile with secrets, and a bio that read, "Professional enchantress of misbehaving men." My joking reply, "I'm a witcher looking for a victim this Halloween," had been more of a test. Her answer, "Challenge accepted," was the exact moment curiosity overpowered logic. The door opened, letting in a gust of autumn wind and her. Time didn't stop. Tripped, fell, and forgot how to breathe. Lila walked in like the bar had been waiting its whole life just for her. A long burgundy velvet dress hugging every curve, lace gloves, hair twisted up with tiny bones. I really hoped they were plastic, and eyes that made my Etsy medallion suddenly feel like a cheap toy. "Alex." Her voice was like scented candle smoke, pleasant with a faint taste of danger. "Guilty," I said, standing up and trying to look like a guy who hadn't practiced this moment in the mirror. "Lila in the flesh." She extended her hand, and when our palms touched, something strange happened. Not a spark, not electricity, more like warmth spreading from her fingers up my arm, as if someone poured hot wine inside me. I stared dumbly at our joined hands. "It's cold outside." She smiled, pulling her hand back. "Poor circulation. Want a drink?" The next 30 minutes blurred into conversation that was way too easy for a first date. Lila talked about her job as a florist. I help people say what they can't put into words. And I about it. I help computers not hate humans. She laughed at my jokes like they were actually funny. I caught myself watching her lips more often than was socially acceptable for a civilized primate. So she leaned closer and I caught a whiff of something herbal, earthy. "Tell me about your hunt, Witcher. What kind of victim are you looking for?" That was my cue to flirt, to say something smooth like, "I already found one." Instead, I blurted out, "Honestly, I just wanted someone to appreciate my costume." Her eyes, dark green like a forest before a storm, flashed with something that could have been disappointment or recognition. "You do know witchers don't hunt victims, right? They hunt monsters. Maybe I'm a lore saboteur." I shrugged. "Or just underprepared." She leaned back, and somehow that small distance between us felt like a drop in temperature. "It's fine. I can work with raw material." Something about that phrase, "work with raw material," sent a shiver down my spine. "Not the good kind." "Do you always talk like that? Like you're planning an experiment?" "Always." She raised her glass. 2 experiments. We clinked glasses. Her days never left mine. I drank. The wine was dry with a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Blackcurrant, blueberry, black magic. "Relax," I told myself. She's just a girl with a sense of humor. But when she slid her hand onto my thigh under the table gently, almost imperceptibly, the air around us thickened. The bar suddenly felt too quiet. The music still played. People still talked, but it all turned into background noise, white static. And in the center of it was only her. "Alex," Lila whispered, leaning in so close I could feel her breath on my ear. "Do you believe in magic?" My heart was beating so loud I was sure she could hear it. "Depends on the definition." I tried to cling to the last fragments of rational thought. "If you mean stage tricks, I mean real magic. The kind that changes reality. The kind that binds fates." Her hand on my thigh tightened, warmth turning into heat. "Lila, what are you?" She pressed a finger to my lips. Her skin smelled like smoke and honey. "Don't be afraid. You invited this yourself. Looking for a victim on Halloween, remember? That was a joke." My throat suddenly dry as paper. "The best spells always start as jokes," she smiled. And in that smile was so much promise. I forgot how to breathe, ready to find out what happens when jokes become real. And that's when I realized 2 things. First, I was in such deep trouble the Chinese on the other side of the planet could probably hear me. Second, I might actually want to stay in that trouble at least for one more glass of wine. We left the bar around 11:30, and suddenly, Portland looked like the set of a movie I definitely hadn't agreed to star in. Fog crawled through the street so thick it turned the street lights into blurred yellow halos. Strings of glowing pumpkins along the sidewalk swayed even though there was no wind. Somewhere in the distance, music was playing. Or maybe it was just the ringing in my ears. At that point, I wasn't sure of anything anymore. Where are we going? I walked beside Lila, keeping a distance that felt both safe and insulting. To my place, she said over her shoulder, her smile pure sin. Don't you want to see a real witch's lair? I'd prefer to live till morning, I muttered, but kept walking anyway. Apparently, my self-preservation instinct had taken the night off. Her apartment was on the third floor of an old building in the Pearl District. We climbed the creaky wooden stairs in silence. The only sound, the rhythmic click of her heels, like a heartbeat, like a countdown to something inevitable. The door opened and I froze on the threshold. What the hell? Come in, Lila said, giving me a gentle push. Don't be scared. I don't bite. Well, almost never. The place looked like Pinterest and the Blair Witch Project had a baby and forgot to show sex. Candles everywhere on the floor, shelves, tables. Bundles of dried herbs hung from the ceiling. The walls were covered with antique mirrors with bronze frames. Tapestries with strange symbols and shelves stacked with jars filled with things I absolutely did not want to identify. And the smell. Oh God, the smell. Incense, sage, something sweet and something primal animal. Very atmospheric, I said, clinging to sarcasm like a life raft. Did you decorate yourself or hire a professional? 300 years of practice, she said, kicking off her shoes. I noticed a tattoo around her ankle, some intricate symbol. Kidding. 2 years, but who's counting? She walked over to a table by the window where a large leather-bound book sat. A real honest-to-God grimoire. Lila. I took a step back toward the door. This is all super charming, but I should probably mention I'm not really into ritual sacrifices, cult initiations, or Alex. She turned, her face suddenly serious, almost vulnerable. Do you really think I'm some kind of lunatic? I think you're a very beautiful lunatic, I said, which frankly makes this even more confusing. She laughed, not flirtatiously, but genuinely, and for a second, she looked like an ordinary girl with a strange hobby. Relax, she said, stepping closer. I felt that same heat as in the bar, crawling up under my skin. I'm not going to hex you. Not without consent, anyway. I like guys with a sense of humor and you were brave enough to actually show up. Or stupid enough. Same thing, she murmured, placing a hand on my chest. My heart skipped a beat. Listen, you feel it right between us. Oh, I felt it. God, did I feel it like a magnetic field, like gravity, like something pulling me toward her against every rational impulse. It's pheromones, I said weakly. Or maybe I just inhaled too much incense. Or maybe it's a bond. She whispered, leaning in until her lips hovered an inch from mine. A real one, rare, the kind that happens once the doorbell rang so sharply I nearly jumped out of my skin. Lila froze. Her expression shifted from soft to alert, almost predatory. Are you expecting someone? I was already scanning the room for a second exit. No, she said, peeking through the pee-hole. Oh crap. What do you mean crap? I don't like crap. This right up there with this isn't what it looks like. And I have bad news. She opened the door just wide enough to keep the chain on. Standing outside was a woman in her 50s, wearing a black coat and a tight bun of silver hair. Her eyes, dark green just like Lila's, took me in within a second. Lila Marie Henderson, the woman said, her voice sharp as ice. What have you done this time? Mom, Lila said with a sheepish grin. It's not what you think. I think you're trying to bind a fate again without council permission. Am I close? I looked from Lila to her mother, then back to Lila. Sorry. Bind what exactly? Lila's mother pushed the door open, snapping the chain as if it were paper. She stepped inside and pointed a finger at me. You boy have 30 seconds to decide whether you want to be part of this madness or walk away and forget everything you saw tonight. I what? My daughter, The woman sighed, taking off her coat, has a gift for finding men and convincing herself they're her destiny. Last time it ended with a forest fire and 3 innocent civilians having their memories wiped. That was one time. Lila crossed her arms. And technically, the fire didn't start because of my spell. Oh yeah? Then how did it start? I asked, my voice an octave higher than usual. His jealousy, Lila said casually. He burned down my shop. I just helped the fire spread a little faster to his house and his car and his boat. I sat down on the arm of a chair because my legs had forgotten how to function. So, you're an actual witch. We prefer the term practitioner, Lila's mother said, pulling a small glass vial from her bag. But yes, she's real and reckless. And if you want to stay alive and sane, you need to drink this. She handed me the vial. What is it? An antidote to the binding spell my foolish daughter cast on you at the bar. I looked at Lila. She looked guilty, annoyed, and ridiculously beautiful. You hexed me? Just a little, she said, holding her fingers an inch apart. So you wouldn't run away too fast. I just wanted a chance. A chance for what? For something real, she said softly. Without magic. But first I had to be sure you were right. I looked down at the vial in my hand, then back at her. And for the first time that crazy night, I realized something important. I still wanted to stay. No. I put the small bottle down on the table. Lila's mother raised an eyebrow so high it nearly disappeared under her hair. Boy, do you understand that you are giving up a chance at a normal life? No magical manipulation. No risk of spontaneous combustion. No, I understand. I interrupted, looking at Lila. But I want to clear up one thing. What I felt tonight, the whole evening, from the moment you walked into the bar, what percentage of that was the spell? Lila bit her lip, and it was the first time all evening that she looked genuinely unsure. I don't know. She stepped closer. The spell works as an amplifier. It takes what is already there and makes it brighter. If there was nothing between us, it wouldn't have worked at all. So, you can't create love from nothing. No one can, her mother interjected. Not even the strongest practitioners. Magic doesn't create emotions. It merely edits them. I laughed. A short, nervous laugh from a person who realizes their reality has just expanded by several dimensions. So, you made me feel what I'd already started to feel, just stronger. Something like that. Lila took a step forward. But Alex, I realized I screwed up 5 minutes after we started talking. You were unexpected, real, and I wanted to remove the spell, but I was afraid you'd just up and leave. And that's why you brought me here to your cave full of candles and dried frogs. They're not frogs. They're herbs, she said defensively. And yes, I wanted to impress you, to show you who I really am. Before. She didn't finish, but I understood. Before you remove the spell and I forget about you, the antidote wipes out more than just the spell, but also the memories of the magic source, a protective mechanism. You won't remember she's a witch. You won't remember anything after the moment she touched your hand in the bar. I sank into the armchair, feeling the adrenaline gradually recede, leaving behind fatigue and a strange clarity. And what if I don't drink this thing? Then the spell will dissipate on its own in 24 hours. The mother crossed her arms. But you'll remember everything, and you'll never be able to live as before. You'll know magic exists, that the world is wider and weirder than you were told. It changes people, not always for the better. Lila knelt in front of me, placing her hands on my knees. Alex, I don't want you to make this decision under the influence of the spell. Drink the antidote. Forget about me. And then, if you want to, if you feel like trying again, will you find me? I touched her cheek, and she leaned into my palm. Without magic, I'll try. Her eyes shimmered, and I wasn't sure if it was the candle light or tears. Promise. I looked at the small bottle, then at her mother, who was watching us with the expression of a person seeing a slow-motion car crash. Is there a third option? What is it? Lila's mother asked, surprised. I don't drink the antidote. I wait for the spell to wear off naturally. And then Lila and I go on a date, a real one, no magic, and we see if what's between us was real. Silence fell. Even the candles seemed to stop flickering. You're insane. Lila's mother finally stated. Quite possibly. I smiled. But I already showed up for a date with a girl who wrote challenge accepted to my stupid Witcher joke. Common sense is clearly not my strong suit. Lila laughed, a real bright laugh that filled the room with warmer light than all the candles combined. Are you serious? Absolutely. I stood up, pulling her with me, but on one condition, which is next time, warn me when you're gonna cast a spell. I want to know when my emotions are me and when you're your assist. Deal. She held out her hand for a shake, and I saw a faint symbol flash on her palm and then disappear. Sealed. Did you just cast another spell? Only on myself, she smiled. Now I physically won't be able to enchant you without warning. The consequences would be really unpleasant, like nausea and a rash. Romantic. I try. Lila's mother sighed, taking the small bottle. You two are idiots. Perfect match. She was already walking toward the door when she turned around. Lila, if you burn down one more house, I will personally place a lifelong celibacy spell on you. Got it, Mom? And you, boy, she pointed a finger at me. If you hurt her, I will turn you into something small and slimy. Understood. Crystal clear. I swallowed. The door closed and we were left alone. So Lila moved closer and I felt that same heat. But now I knew it was real. What do you want to do for the next 24 hours until the spell wears off? Honestly, I want to sit on this absurdly comfortable couch, order pizza, and watch some dumb horror movie while you tell me about the actual ways to kill vampires. Vampires don't exist, she said. Seriously. But witches do. Exactly why I'm the expert on what exists and what doesn't. We sat on the couch. She leaned against me and I felt her warmth mix with mine without magic. Just two people who found something unexpected on Halloween night. Alex. Yeah. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not turning me into a frog. The night's not over yet. I laughed, hugging her tighter. Little did I know that 3 months later I would propose to her in the same spot where we first met. That a year later we would get married in a forest under the watchful eye of her mother and an entire coven of practitioners who would check every word of our vows for accidental spells. That 5 years later, I would still wonder how I got so lucky to find a woman who can both cook a perfect dinner and conjure rain when I forget to water the garden. But in that moment, on that first crazy Halloween night, I just held her in my arms and thought one thing. The best stories always start with the phrase, "Why not?" And the best spells are the ones we cast on ourselves. It's called falling in love.